Chicago, it's been a very special day, very special day, perfect timing, because we got the man himself. Taylor Bennett is in the building.
Chicago, what's the word, man? How y'all feeling out there?
I got to give you some hand claps, my brother. Now,
Southside's finest, what's the word, man?
How you feeling today?
Man, good, blessed, healthy. I've been doing, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more, but I've been doing a lot of street promos. Mm-hmm. We've been out at the beaches, North Ave, Oak Street, Michigan Avenue, Pitchfork. We've been everywhere, man, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are listening that have probably seen me in the last few weeks passing out a plugger or giving out a tape or something like that. But it just feels good to get back to the roots. Being independent, I didn't sign a deal, so all the marketing and creative stuff is up to me. So, it might sound crazy for somebody that just did Good Morning America or just did Kelly Clarkson to be like, man, we out here in these streets, you know what I'm saying, get T-shirts and pluggers. But shout out to Chicago, the Drummer Boys, and everybody that kind of taught me the marketing of street promotion. We're the only city that really first had street teams, and it would be young dudes. Shout out John Monopoly when he used to put up King Louis stuff. I grew up seeing those things, and it really shaped me. And I really believe there's nothing I can't do being from Chicago. So
in general, you grew up, I remember you all were passing out mixtapes.
Yeah, passing out mixtapes.
You know what I'm saying?
Bringing it back to the basics, too. I think that's the thing as well, is that, and I love it, because I think back in the day when me and Chance were going to high schools and we were passing out 10-day, and, I was passing out the Taylor Bennett show when we were doing these, we didn't realize, I don't think, or at least I didn't realize that technology was moving. Social media was becoming a bigger thing. People wanted to do self-distribution and be independent artists, and really, most of all, be in control and have ownership of what they're doing and what their narrative is of their business. We didn't even realize that. But now I can see how important it actually was that we were making those impressions, that we were having those interactions, because like you said, you already know, we're going to talk about it later, but you've come to 4 of my shows. Yeah. I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
Now you brought me to the radio station so I could do an interview. It's power in relationships.
It is.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Been in tune for quite some time, like
Forever.
You said.
The GOAT right here.
Look,
if y'all ain't
you.
know. Now that's you. Y'all got the GOAT every day on the radio.
I appreciate the love. And you're right. I have been to the last 4 shows you put together. And I want to kind of touch on, you spoke on hard work.
Yes,
How
sir.
does it feel for you knowing that you all's hard work is paid off?
Man, you all know what's crazy? I'll just say, I kind of been... with this project, I got into a lot of things. We'll talk about it more, but I had I changed my lifestyle, man. I had 2 children, changed my whole world. I stopped eating pork, chicken, beef. Now all I eat is turkey and fish. I work out a lot more. I read a lot more. I do reading and research into things that I care about, like the music industry. So, I discovered Berry Gordy and all the things he did, and Smokey Robinson, Sam Cooke, Stax Records, like just all of these different historical figures of people that look like me. And all my life I was looking at a TV and trying to figure out a character to relate to. And I think it's a lot of people that kind of feel that. But once I put that control in my own hands and started using the internet and these things that I have at my fingertips to really make moves in terms of changing my perception and what I know, man, it's been a journey, you know what I'm saying?
Speaking on your diet,
yeah.
I remember I played you in spades a long time ago.
There we go.
By the way, Chicago, he whooped my butt.
I love spades, Chicago. Y'all know we do spades, man.
Whooped my butt 3 times in a row. I had to give up my cards, but thankfully
spades,
he had
man.
to also hit the stage. But I just wanted to say, man, I see the hard work, because I remember you had some weight on you.
Yeah,
you
man.
You got in the gym, you got that weight off.
On me. I had some weight on me. And the other thing, too, that I'll say is that it's not even just so much of a physical thing. This album speaks a lot about mental health, which is a conversation that's not big enough. And I'm sure that in the last recent years, you guys have seen commercials to talk about mental health and how you should have self-care and, these different things. But in terms of the music industry, it actually, I listen to affirmation. So I believe that a lot of words that you intake have a reaction on you, right?
Yeah.
And an effect on you, a cause and effect. So it's like with my music, with hip-hop, with the fans that I have, I care about y'all, man. I want y'all to be healthy. I want y'all to be successful. I want y'all to go through life. I want y'all to experience great things. I want y'all to experience bad things. I want you to learn from the moments that you fail. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to limit where you can go. And I don't want to show you that the world is only so vast. You get what I'm saying? When it's
so much.
You know what
much
I'm saying?
to offer. And before we jump into a quick music break from you, let's touch on the album song, because you've been on a slight hiatus. Now, I ain't gonna say like
Definitely.
a huge break, but you've been on a slight hiatus.
For sure.
Got kids.
Yeah.
lady, very supportive backbone at that.
Thank
She's
you,
at
man.
all your shows.
Shout out to Kayla. She at all my shows. Shout out to Wifey. She be taking care of me and my kids and making sure that I could be the Taylor Bennett that not only she needs for the family, but that y'all like to hear. So shout out to her. It wouldn't be no interview right now.
Big shout out to her. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, and knowing that it's been, 3 years since your last project.
Yeah, man.
What was the hiatus for? And what led you back to, hitting the ground running?
I want to talk about it because it's really important. And I want everybody that's listening to remember Taylor Bennett and Chance the Rapper are real independent artists. We've never had a record deal. We've never had a publishing deal. We've never had anybody that's saying, this is how this should go. This is how this should go. These have been two black kids from the south side of Chicago that grew up in West Chatham that one day decided they had a dream and they were going to chase it. And we haven't changed and looked at anybody else to say, hey, you could help me. Because the truth about it is that we could help ourselves and so can you. And I'm saying that to say that when you think about artists, for anybody that is an artist out there, like Michael Jackson, and you look at his records, look at the gap between his records from, bad to or from Thriller to Bad, or there's a gap of at least 4 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. But then look at what he was doing in that time frame. He wasn't just doing a country tour. So let's say for an artist today that's an A-list artist, right? Bigger than me. You put out a project, the project does well, the label says, okay, let's do a couple small city runs, and then if that goes well, then we'll do a nationwide tour, and then God forbid, because they don't want to spend the money, the nationwide tour goes great, then maybe we'll do a worldwide tour. Michael Jackson was in control of his business and didn't think like that. I can remember so many world tours of Michael Jackson's. I can remember so many different records from Michael Jackson that had been released 5 years prior and then the music video coming out. So he was dropping Black and White when he was about to put out a whole nother album. But the reason why he did that was because he was trying to create something that was better than his last. And he had the time to do it, and he had the creative control to do it. And what's happening in music, the reason why y'all listen to the radio and you like, this sounds the same, is that they're not giving artists that space. We're not giving artists that space as fans. We're very demanding. We want things now. And if you're not good, then you fell off and we throw you away. With me, I'm an independent artist, so I take as much time as I need. I had a lot of things going on. So yeah, I had, my 2 children, the dietary things, my mental health, my physical health. But I also, joined my brother's camp 2 to 3 years ago as well. So it's been 4 years completely since I dropped my last project. But in balancing all those things, there's, in the movie, The Temptations, I forget the brother's name, but they say, you'll be a better writer when you have more experience. Mm-hmm. Experience is what it takes. And even before this, Restoration of an American Idol had a 3-year gap between Broad Shoulders. Restoration had a 3-year gap between Restoration of American Idol. Restoration had a 3-year gap between Be Yourself. So it's always been a thing where I'm trying to really experience life and not just put out records, you know what I'm saying? Not just drop some, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes it might be a single, it might be hot, and I'll drop it. But it's also about, like, now I'm in mode. Like, now Taylor Bennett is back. Taylor Bennett dropped the record. He did Good Morning America. He's been on his tours. This is just the start, though. Mm-hmm. But you got to plan those things, and that's the number one thing I want any listeners to check out. You have to have a plan. You have to make a marketing strategy. Don't let anybody else tell you how to market yourself. There's nobody else that knows how to market you to your community better than yourself. And that goes for every rapper out there. You can make positive music or drill music. There's nobody that's going to be in an office that has nothing or no clue about your background, surroundings, or environment that is going to be able to exploit or I think the proper word would be amplify your art to a community. And if they do, because it is possible, just know that the way they amplify it will not be with the same passion or respect for your art and craft as you have.
Man,
you know what I'm saying?
We got Taylor Bennett in the building.
And the crib, Vocalo, what up?
Speaking, of being yourself, we got to get into Be Yourself Part 2. It's coming
Let's go.
Of age.
So Be Yourself Part 2 is a record that is actually a sequel to Be Yourself, which was a single that I put out in 2018 on my project Be Yourself that was all about self-expression. It was a year after I came out as openly bisexual and joined the LGBTQ community. And what Be Yourself is when you ask me what was I doing in those 3 to 4 years, I was working on all these different things, my health, my mental health, my family, my brother, my business. I was planning, I was researching, I was doing all these things. But the most important thing I was doing is I was building character. I was becoming more of Taylor Bennett. I was stepping more into those shoes. And the reason why it's called Be Yourself Part 2 is because I wanted people to understand, for me, in 2018 when I put that project out, the cover art is me sitting on a stool with tighty whitey rainbow underwear on. And I'm a rapper, and that was pretty far from the direction that I had been going in prior to that. But it was also a moment for me to get comfortable because, and y'all understand what I'm saying when I say this, so hear me closely, social media and school and peers and people around you a lot of times can control your mental health, or their opinions can shape your character more than your own thoughts. And as an artist that had made hundreds and thousands of followers and been on all these places, it started to weigh on me that the thing that I cared most about, even when it came to my sexual preference or me saying who I am or whatever, was other people's opinions. So when I put that project, Be Yourself, out, I don't care if people laughed at it. I don't care if people cried about it. I don't care if people loved it. What I did was that I set the tone for myself, because then the world knew who I was. There was no more hiding who Taylor Bennett was. And 3 years ago, when I put that project out, I started building on my character. And I wanted people to understand that you could be yourself, but you can always be better. So there's always a part 2 to stepping in the right direction.
You said something that hit me, and besides that, a little earlier you spoke on your wife.
Yeah.
And, you know, I want to know, like, with you having 2 brilliant boys, a wifey by your side holding you down, how do they keep you grounded when times get rough and hard for you?
I think there's like a lot of different ways. I think my kids keep me grounded just with the idea that anything could be wrong. I could be trying to figure out how I'm gonna get some money for something. Something could have not came out the right way. I could be thinking, you know, what about tomorrow? Or just thinking about, you know, sometimes time weighs on you. So it's not even so much of a thing where you're like, I got all this stuff now. It's like, oh no, what does tomorrow hold for me? And when I see my kids, they don't have to say anything. I know they'll be there tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like that right there, just that whole idea, how you're living, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful energy. So that just keeps me grounded, even when I'm not with them. So a lot of times I could be out of town. I could be seeing a picture of my children makes me miss them a lot because it's a picture and I'm hearing all the voices and the sounds and I miss them.
The memories start hitting you.
And I think how Kayla keeps me grounded is the way that a great partner should keep somebody grounded. She grounds me. She's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know this is going on. I know this is going on, but you got to remember who you are. You got to remember what you're doing. You got to remember what's out there. You got to remember how you got here, where you're from. You know, I think a lot of times it's easy to look at others' success and not understand the journey. But it's a beautiful thing when you're with somebody as a partner that understands your journey. Mm-hmm. Because, again, you know, in this world of success and entertainment, there are a lot of people, and sometimes they could end up being your partners. Thank God I'm not in that situation. But there's a lot of people that just tell you what you want to hear because they want to continue living the lifestyle that you provide, whether, you know, that's the positive or the negative for you. And with her, what is a beautiful thing, and it's almost even shows you my project is all about positivity. It's about self-care. It's about mental health. It's about family. It's about that shit I was doing with her. I was hanging out with her. I was raising a family with her. I was going through dietary restrictions with her. I was working out. I was making these changes in my life. And those things wouldn't have been able to happen if it wasn't for her. But the bigger point that I'm trying to make, which is a great reason to have and find your partner, is that without her, this project wouldn't have been created because I wouldn't have had the time. I wouldn't have had the experience. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So she keeps me grounded just in that right and in that vein of knowing how much she cares for me.
Now, I will say I love, you know, having a backbone. I understand where you're coming from because they see what we don't see.
And they'll let you know.
Yes, they will.
And that's Kayla 100% of the time is, and that's why, I do believe that the devil lies in comfort. Mm-hmm. So I don't like anybody or anything that's too comfortable. Any of my friends, we argue, it's a thing where there has to be a back and forth so we are properly doing the diagnostic to make sure that this is going to work or that we're moving in the correct fashion. Mm-hmm. And she is, more than anybody I know, except for probably my dad, not just the first person to tell me when I'm doing something wrong, but also the first person to tell me when I'm doing something right. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge thing because it's hard to weigh sometimes when people only telling you good stuff, like I was saying, or when people only telling you bad stuff. But life is about balance, and Caleb brings me balance.
That's what's always needed. And now I want to take it back to 2017.
Yes, sir.
I remember when you tweeted the status
man.
to the public. And, you know, long story short, you announced that your support for the LGBTQ plus community, and you also announced your personal sexuality.
Yes.
Now,
openly bisexual for y'all that don't know out there, man.
Now, for you personally, like, I want to know, confident-wise, like, how did you build up the confidence to put that out to the public? Because that's something of personal gain for yourself. So how did you build up that confidence to share to the world?
Well, you know, I think I've been very blessed in a lot of different ways, right? Because there's a lot of different structures to society. So I was born on the South Side. I didn't have a lot of money. We lived, to be specific, in West Chatham, right off 79th, in the hood. My pops, I watched him every day go to work. And before he worked in politics, he worked in streets and sanitation and things of those nature, like a lot of our Chicago fathers do. But it was just basically a thing, I feel like, where I saw my dad every day doing what he loved, and I saw him being unconditionally himself. And then also in the same way, later on, I had great parents that put me in a school, Mark T. Skinner School, and they would drive me and my brother Chance from 79th on the South Side, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to the West Loop so we could go to this school. And I was meeting all these different kids and having these diverse experiences. Then I got older and I moved to the North Side. And, you know, I lived in Brandon Park for like 2 years, like in my senior year and the year after I graduated. So I saw a whole different side of Chicago. Like, people talk about segregation, people talk about, you know, the idea of, and I don't know if you ever heard this term, but some people have heard the expression, if you take the red line, you can see how segregated Chicago is. Yeah. So I used to get on at 79th, and then I would ride up north, and those experiences were showing me different things, and they were showing me other opportunities. And then I got successful as an artist, and I became somebody that had money, and I was black, and I was young. And I was seeing how being black and young, even with money, gets you treated, or how having money can get you treated versus whatever. And I'm basically saying all these things to say that God has blessed me with a vision where I've seen a lot of things and I've seen a lot of people. And I also feel like, as an artist, one of my biggest jobs is I consider myself to be a scientist or a doctor. And seeing all of the other people that are doing all the other things and thinking about their opinions and how much they're swayed to do separate things or different things based off of, on another topic, but on the same topic, a lot of times I see people when a rapper, artist, or an athlete signs a bad deal. And they're like, why would he sign that deal? That doesn't make any sense. That was stupid. He should have to, well, he shouldn't have. He got all that money. He should. I'm an independent artist, but I would just say that in that same right that people talk about independence and having morals and not signing deals and whatever, we make the same decisions to do things that go against our morals every day for less than fame, just for a paycheck. Let that sink in, people on the other side of the radio. So what I'm really saying about all of this is that through the discovery of how much people were not being themselves and how fake everything was around me, me coming out was more of me letting go of that world and me saying, I refuse to live like this. And I do believe that even if it's out of my fame, even if my fame goes away, even if I lose a bunch of friends, I would rather live in that reality of knowing who you are and how they feel about me versus people feeling a way that I want them to, or me envisioning what I want them to feel. You know what I'm saying?
Did that happen? Did you catch any backlash?
Definitely, man. For anybody that's a part of the LGBTQ, I always say this, when you come out as gay, bisexual, you're going to lose something, especially if you're trans. Shout out to the trans community. You might not even get the job. You might not have a job to lose, or you might lose the job that you have. You're going to lose friends. I've done a lot of work with the LGBTQ homeless youth in Chicago, Pride Action Tank, as well as La Casa Norte. And the truth is, a lot of those kids were openly LGBTQ. When I was growing up, the same situation that happened to those kids happened to my friends, where they would come out to their parents and they would kick them out. And it didn't matter if they were black or if they were white or if they were Hispanic. I've seen it happen across the board to people. You get what I'm saying? So saying that in the regard of, you lose something. I definitely lost something. But what I want to tell everybody, and I want you to pay attention to me, everything I lost, I don't have to tell you, look at what I gained. Look at who I am. Now, you see people on TV talk about money. Look at my family. Look at my business. Look at how happy I am. Look at my health. Those are things you can't buy at the store.
Yeah. Yeah. Your skin's glowing.
You get what I'm saying?
Your melanin's popping.
Man.
Like your energy.
Happy.
Your energy is
and happy
everything.
is a temporary thing, but I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying this ride. I'm living a movie. I'm trying to push the most that I can every day and seeing where I get, rather than thinking that maybe that won't work for me.
And speaking of happy, too, you told People magazine that you've never been happier 5 years after coming out as bisexual.
Never been happier. That's my first People magazine interview. Exact example. So the things that I missed, I don't even realize that y'all are gone. I don't even realize that some of the things that maybe I didn't get to participate in, what? and all of that is what you get for just being yourself. And I also am saying that in the regard of, it doesn't have to do with your sexuality. That's why the project isn't called I'm Bisexual. It's called Be Yourself. Man, express yourself. If you think that something that somebody is doing is lame or is tarnishing or is unproductive to what you're trying to do in your life and your circle, man, leave them. I'm going to tell you, you got 365 days in a year. The world going to keep spinning. Everybody that's around you is going to have their own ideas of what they want to happen. If you got a dream, which I believe you have a dream, you better get, as soon as this interview is off, get a notebook and start jotting that down and start figuring out how you're going to get there. And I'm telling you this, not as somebody that's on a commercial, not as somebody that's on a TV screen, as a black kid from the south side of Chicago. You could do anything you want to do.
Let's talk about Anita Baker, because I found out about things through you. I was on Facebook and you went live on, I don't know if it was on Facebook, but I saw the video of
the Facebook Watch video that we did. Shout out to Facebook Watch.
I don't even know if it was the Watch video. You was in the car driving and just breaking down.
So I get exactly what you're talking about.
And that came across my timeline. That's how I learned that you all, that you, Chance, y'all helped Anita Baker get her master's back.
Yeah, so it was really thinking, I'll really put it on Chance. Chance had a conversation. I think he had seen a tweet a couple years ago about, her trying to get her master's back. I think he sent out a series of tweets, and they also connected personally. And, as she said, she was able to retain her master's. I'll tell you why it's so important. When you look at people like Michael Jackson, and I want you guys to go do the research on this. Michael Jackson, one of the best performers of all time, but one of the best businessmen of all time, people. This man, I want you to do the research on him. He bought a record label called EMI from a guy named Jeffrey A. Court in Australia at the telethon. And EMI consisted of half of the world's publishing at that time for the biggest artists. So when he bought the EMI records, he bought the Beatles, he bought Elton John, he bought a bunch of other African-American artists from Motown, he bought Little Richard's masters. He had ownership of all of those things because they were just in this one company that this white guy in Australia had. Michael Jackson, through his music, went and bought those back. He bought all those rights back. And then what did he do with those rights? He went to all the black artists that were touring and they were broke because they had been cheated by these labels. They couldn't pay for their children to go to school. They didn't have nice cars. They were living in the hood. And the executives from back then, all their kids were in private schools and in limousines. And this is real life, people. Michael Jackson, yes, your favorite and one of the best artists, if not the best artist ever, bought those rights back and gave them back to black people. And you want to know what's bigger than the rights of money is the rights of your narrative and your voice and how it's exploited and how it's controlled. You get what I'm saying? So when you see somebody like Chance the Rapper, an independent artist, generations or decades after Michael Jackson's climax in stardom, still reaching out to the greats like we need that energy. And I think that what's more important is that we need to start saying, what are these artists doing, not just for themselves, but for the community. That should be how you judge people. People judge people off of music. Mm-hmm. It's like, social
media standards.
Judge. If we gonna hold artists to the same caliber as the president, which is kind of how we do, at least judge them like the president. Be like, oh, that was cool. You gave away, blah, blah, blah. Like, let's start doing that. Because if it's not going to be about the music, if we're going to look at people as idols, if we're going to do, You know what I'm saying? There has to be some kind of breakdown of responsibility. What are you doing to change the community, not just for yourself and your family, but for people that look like you? Because the truth is that Michael Jackson and I and Chance could never have been us if it wasn't for you. Because the listeners is what they monetize. That's how we get money. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, you know.
Let's talk a little bit more about family. Because you, Chance, your father, mother, all of you all come together to really push each other. And knowing that you took out a hiatus and you joined your brother's team, how has that amplified things, and what have you personally been working on to like elevate your brother as well as yourself?
You know, my biggest thing is, man, I'm Taylor Bennett. I'm Tay-Z. It's only one Taylor Bennett. When I was 18, I was walking into the Spotifys, the SoundClouds, the Apple Musics, the Amazon plays. Some of these guys are my mentors. Most of these guys, I'll say, they are my mentors. I know everything about distribution platforms. I know everything about playlisting. I know everything about shows. I know the show that I'm throwing tomorrow, just so you guys understand this, again, from an independent standpoint, the first show that Chance the Rapper ever had was at Lincoln Hall. The reason why it was at Lincoln Hall is because there was another place in Chicago that was like, we don't do local shows for rappers, especially not Chicago rappers, because we know what that carries with, right? Since that day, he's done countless independent shows. Since that day, I've done countless independent shows. I am my own promoter for tomorrow. Y'all saw me passing out the pluggers. Y'all saw the posters. Y'all saw the billboards. That's me. That's me. And I'm 26, and just like Jay-Z said on What More Can I Say, I'm the CEO. The marketing strategy, that plan was me. For real, though. I don't have a joint venture. I don't got none of that. And I'm ready to go to war with these dudes.
I would love to see you all do another festival here. You know,
woo, I was just thinking about that this morning.
Great, look, we here.
There we go. We right here. We need that right now.
So
though.
I feel like Chicago would definitely appreciate that. The last one was at White Sox with the magnificent.
Yeah, that was crazy. Tyler Creator, Alicia Keys, Kanye West. We need another one, Chance. You hear
another one?
They want another one, man.
And you know, ending things off, Taylor. Like I said, I've been an advocate supporter of your music. Then came out to several events.
All the events, man.
Popping out to the next one. And you know, billboards is all up across Chicago to see. My lady seen the billboard, pointed you out.
My dude.
We got to talk about the meaning behind coming of age for everybody. Definitely. So they can understand why this project means so much to you. Please. And the time that you spent putting into this project.
This project is so important to me, and I just want you guys to really just give me an opportunity. I just want you guys to listen. That's why I've been doing so much stuff for free. It's good music, man. I think the biggest and the toughest thing as an independent artist sometimes, or just an artist, anybody that's out there that is saying, I want to, and forget being an artist, I'm trying to do something. All I ask is that you guys check it out and you listen. And when it comes to coming of age, I'm from Chicago. I'm from the South Side. I grew up on 79th Street. I love the city. I know it like the back of my hand. Every single crevice, every side, every corner. I've gone to school at East West Garfield Urban Prep. I've gone to school at Bronzeville Urban Prep. I've gone to school at Ogden High School. I've gone to school at Skinner. I have literally explored this whole city. I know it like the back of my hand, man. And I'm saying all these things to say that I've seen what they have tried to turn our narrative into. I want you guys to pay attention when you watch TV, when you listen to the radio, when you see movies, and understand what they're trying to express to you about the character that you as a young child might be trying to imitate. That has been my life. All my friends thought we were going to be rappers and basketball players. I'm the only rapper. That's been my life. Most of them are dead or they're in jail. So what I'm trying to say is that when you look at the narrative they're painting on TV, and then you look at Chicago, for my people that really live here, we live here. We're the real representation. We are the voice. We are the people that can say, no, that's not what this city is like. No, that's not what we're about. I don't care how many billboards there are. I don't care how many mainstream music videos there are. It's up to us to use our voice in a way that it can't be controlled, and to control our narrative ourselves. So I wanted to make a positive album because I'm from Chicago. I'm from the South Side. I'm from 79th. I'm not going to get into any more, but I'm getting that I understand what the city is like. I grew up, most of my friends grew up just like y'all grew up. Don't let these people tell you who you are. and never give up the voice of saying who we are. And never let anybody, when you see these TV shows, you see, I'm sure, let me ask you, when you hear the news talk about Chicago, is that what Chicago is like?
I have to say it is not coming from my block.
Not coming from your block, right? It's not like that from my area either. But I think the thing is, again, they use mass media. So many people talk about Chicago in a negative light that it's like you can't go anywhere and say that you're from Chicago and get a good response. Stop letting them play with our narrative. I'm not going to let them play with our narrative. I'm not going to let them play with our kids. I'm not going to let them play with you. But I need y'all to do the same thing. I don't want to go into too much of what the project is. It's the best, most hoppinest. Just go check it out. It's positive music, and I believe it is good. I do believe it's good. And I think it's good for you, too. You know what I'm saying? So go check out that Coming of Age.
Let people know where they can RSVP at, as well as grab
Make sure,
Be Yourself merch.
Yes, sir.
All that.
Just go to shop.taylorbennett.co. You can RSVP for the show. You can get the new merchandise. Be Yourself times Champion clothing brand. Shout out to them. And yeah, man, make sure you check us out. Let's get it, man. It's your boy TB.